Hello, my name is Jonathan, and in this video I'm going to be discussing the new home versus world latency numbers and hopefully shedding a little light on them and trying to help clear up some of the confusion that seems to be going on, because there is a ton of confusion about these new numbers, what they mean in the forums and things like that. So I'm going to give it my best shot at helping to explain so you guys understand it for a change. Let's go ahead and jump into the game, and I want to show you what the new latency numbers look like and how they work. And basically what's happened is Blizzard has changed something about the way latency, which is an important in-game statistic I'll explain in a minute. They've changed something about the way that it's displayed in-game. It used to be that there was a single number reported, and it was very easy to understand, and it was simply called latency. And what you could do is once you're in-game, and you can see I'm in Ogrimmar here, once you were in-game, all you had to do was hover over this little computer, and you'd see a number up there towards the top that says latency. Right now it's at 0 because it takes 30 seconds before you get any data coming in. Anyway, as you can see right now, there's two different numbers. There used to be just one. It would just say latency, let's say 400 milliseconds, something like that. Right now, it's showing two different numbers, a home and a world. And they're obviously very, very different numbers, and that's what's causing a ton of confusion, and nobody seems to understand exactly what those are about. Blizzard has named them home and world, and that's causing just a lot of confusion. So there is a color coding system, and you can actually see it at work here. My latency is yellow. You can see my little computer down here is yellow. I also have this latency add-on up here that is showing me my my latency live, and it's also yellow. It's color coded to the same thing as Blizzard's system. So I have a yellow, or a warning light, basically, because it's a green, yellow, red system, just like a traffic signal. So I know that there's something wrong. I don't have a good latency here. There's some sort of problem happening. So part of the reason why this is happening for me right now is because I am actually physically located in the San Francisco Bay Area, so Northern California. The particular server that I'm on right now is called Grizzly Hills, and it is actually physically located in New York. This is a server that some friends of mine play on, so I play on it with them as well. But the distance between San Francisco and New York, obviously, is fairly great. We're talking roughly 3,000 miles or so. So the information has to travel a long way, and that's going to cause what's known as latency. And it's just a delay in the time it takes information to get from one point to another. If I was playing on a Los Angeles server, for example, my latency number would be a whole lot lower because the distance between San Francisco to Los Angeles is nowhere near as great as San Francisco to New York. So it's important to consider where your physical server is located. Now, a lot of people may not actually even be sure where their server is located. It's easy to think that, for example, your server time, let's say you're here in San Francisco Bay Area, you're playing on a server that server time is Pacific time, so you figure, well, it's obviously a California server. It must be in Los Angeles, right? Well, that's not necessarily true at all. Blizzard has data centers in 4 places in the U.S. They have them in Los Angeles, Chicago, Phoenix, and New York. Those are the 4 data centers where Blizzard houses their servers. But they have servers all over the place that have different time stamps, different local server times on them. So you could be playing on a server that has Pacific time, but is actually located in New York or Chicago. And vice versa. You could be playing on a server that's East Coast time, but it's actually located in Los Angeles. So just because your server time matches where you're physically located does not mean the actual server is where you're located. It's really important to know that. So anyway, getting back to the home versus world here, it's quite confusing. It seems to me like an example of where engineers implemented something that to them seemed like it made sense, but obviously it's just causing a lot of chaos and confusion, and really has caused a big problem. I'm not sure exactly why they chose to do this. I really have no idea. Nobody seems to really know. Even the blues, the blue official Blizzard posters in the forums, they don't seem to have a firm grasp on what this is. I've seen some posts put out by them that, in my opinion, are wrong, or they're wrong or very poorly explained. Maybe is a better way to view that. So anyhow. You can see my latency numbers, they have changed here. Latency is a very dynamic thing. It's not a static number. It changes all the time, and it's gone down now. You can see my world is down to about 325. You notice my home number hasn't really changed much at all, maybe a couple of milliseconds. But it's pretty constant. But the world number can change quite a bit as the game is played. What home and world really are is, this is my understanding, my belief of what these numbers mean. Home is the time it takes for a ping, which is a very, very, very small amount of data, just a single request, takes to travel from your computer to the data center where your actual game server lives. So once again, home is the amount of time it takes for a single message to travel from your physical computer all the way to the data center where the Blizzard server you're playing on lives. So in my case, it's the time it takes to get from San Francisco, California, to New York, to the data center where the Grizzly Hills server actually lives. Now, world, on the other hand, is the number that we game players actually care about, because world is going to reflect in-game actions. So world is going to include the game running itself. In other words, world is going to be the time it takes for a message to travel from my computer to the actual game world itself, all the way to my character standing here in Orgrimmar. And that is going to be quite a bit longer than just the amount of time it takes to get to the data center. And in this case, you can see it's over 3 times longer, 100 milliseconds to 342 milliseconds. That's a really significant difference in game, especially if you do PPV or PvP, or you're into you're really concerned about your DPS, your rating, things like that. It's a big problem because you're not going to get your shots off quick enough. You're not going to get heals off fast enough, and so forth. So it's really something that you want to address. You don't want to see latencies up. Ideally, you don't want to see latency too much over 100 milliseconds or so would really be ideal. In a perfect world, my world latency right now would be pretty much the same as my home latency. Would be down in the low hundreds is where I would ideally like to see it. So fortunately, there actually is a way to do that, and this is something that I've been doing for a little while now. There are ways to reduce that latency dramatically. Let me actually show you how I've solved it. I use a service called SmoothPing, smoothping.com. There's lots of these services available, though. You can jump to Google and just look up something like WoW ping lowering, and you'll find a whole host of them. I happen to use this one, so I'm going to fire up smoothping.com, and I'll show you what it does for me. Obviously, I've put in my server where I play, Grizzly Hills, and the New York server, and let me hit refresh and see if there's a better server available, and it'll try to pick the fastest one it has. Nope, still New York 04 apparently. So I'll go ahead and hit launch WoW, and it's going to go ahead and fire up the game again, with one very important difference this time. All my game communications this time around is being routed through smoothping.com servers instead of direct to Blizzard. And it's using a different protocol. Normally, the protocol that's used, or the language or transmission method, communication method that's used in these games, in MMOs especially, is called TCP/IP, or usually just referred to as TCP. And the TCP protocol, just due to its design, I don't want to get too techy here, but basically due to its design, there are some delays, some inherent delays built into the protocol itself, and so information just doesn't travel as fast as it could. But if you use a different protocol called SSH, also referred to as SSH tunneling, then those delays don't happen. They're bypassed completely, and there is none of those communication delays. And you can see right away what that does to my in-game latency numbers. I'm down at 110. And if I hover over our little computer here, you can see, there we go. My home and world are the same, and they're both at 108 milliseconds. So now, my overall in-game performance has jumped considerably, and everything about it will be better and quicker. I'll be able to react more quickly to things. My character will react more quickly. I'll be a lot less likely to lag or disconnect. The things of that nature, which are pretty important to those of us who really care about getting the most out of the game and having a really good time and enjoying it. That's really what it's all about, is just enjoying it as much as possible. So that is hopefully a clear explanation of home and world. I really hope that this has helped clear some things up, and that this maybe removes some confusion that is out there about the home and world. And until Blizzard actually comes forward and gives us an explanation that maybe is different from this. This is my firm belief on what these numbers mean and what's going on. Blizzard has said, there was a blue post in one of the forums, that the home number is the only one that really matters to them and that they care about. And I understand why that would be, because from their point of view, that's the number that they need to pay attention to make sure that there's not a problem with the data center or with the communications to their servers and things like that. But us gamers, we really care about the effective number, which is the world. That's the number that is going to affect us as we play. So there you have it. I hope that helps. Take care.